Good day, Cavalier Nation. I'm Era.
And I'm Aiden, and this is Cavalier Connections, the podcast that highlights the good things and people in our county.
This episode is the second in our series for the Port Royal Museum and the celebration of Black History Month.
Caroline County, Virginia has a rich history of African American experience, from educators and leaders to farm workers, artists, and doctors. Caroline County can also boast some fine athletes such as Soup Campbell, a Major League Baseball player who went on to play for the Cleveland Indians, and Helen Bates Penny Sherry, who read and owned Secretariat, 1973 winner of the Triple Crown.
Today, however, our distinguished guest is Mr. Tony Beasley, Major League Baseball player, third base coach for the Texas Rangers. Mr. Beasley is in his 35th year in baseball and his 14th in the majors, and we are especially proud to have him as an alum of Caroline High School.
Mr. Beasley is more than just someone who works in Major League Baseball. He's a living history and an inspiration to people everywhere. And as we celebrate the people who have graced Caroline County, we recognize the achievements of those during Black History Month. We are honored to have Mr. Beasley here in our presence.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley, for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being on. You have had such a successful career with baseball, including a 2023 World Series win with the Texas Rangers. It is hard to believe that you come from home to Caroline County during your off-season and that you find time to talk with kids like us. Why is it so important for you to return home? What draws you back here?
Well, I mean, home is where the heart is. And, I always want to come back and make sure that I give back and I spoke to the student body this morning. So I just want to be an inspiration. Let everybody know that this is where I came from. I walked these floors in the school. I sat in the same auditorium as the kids this morning. And so if I can achieve something coming from this area, then I want everybody to know that the sky's the limit for them as well.
Thank you for sharing. Is there anything in particular that you like about Caroline County or maybe the schools?
I love Caroline County, period. I was born and raised here. So, a lot of my family's here. A lot of my friends are here. And it's just been a community where, everybody takes care of each other and looks for each other. I was telling the student body this morning that Caroline County is a special place and a unique place. And we should embrace that.
Thank you for sharing.
Are there any jarring changes that since you were a student?
No, the school's kind of the same. I mean, it's been renovated since '85, so the gymnasium is new, and I think some of the upstairs is probably new. I haven't been up there, but most of the layout downstairs is kind of the same, so I didn't really get lost when I walked in.
How hard was it to break into baseball? Sometimes it feels as if it's too far of a reach for us to achieve actually playing a major league sport, especially coming from a small rural community such as this one. Other than your talents for playing baseball, what was it about you that helped you earn that break?
Well, I mean, I think for me it was just applying myself. It's kind of tough sometimes when you come from a small town. You think you're not going to get noticed, and people don't recognize that there's talent in these small towns and communities. And so for me, just to have the opportunity to go to college and people saw me, they got an opportunity to see me play, and I basically only went to school to be the first child in my family to go to get an education for my mom. She wanted one of the kids to go to school, and so that's what it started out as. And then I just excelled in the game of baseball. I went to Lewisburg Junior College, and then I went to Liberty University, and I was fortunate enough to get drafted out there to have opportunity to play professional baseball. And so, I don't want to say that it's easy. I think we just have to apply ourselves. If you have goals and dreams and aspire to do something with your life, then pursue that. And you pursue it and you put your best foot forward and give everything that you have, and then you allow the chips to fall where they may.
Oh, it's very important to hear in this day and age. Now, do you think that since you have coming from a small county, small town, worked your way up, do you think that's inspired other people to do the same?
I would hope so. I don't want to be the only person that's been able to do what I've been able to do in my career. I would love to come back here in the next 4 or 5 years and see that there's been another athlete of some sport, or there's been someone in some other curriculum that has done something really great and been outside of the confines of Caroline, but have come back to inspire those who are left behind, or the young generation coming up. So I think that it's important that we allow people to see success in our areas, and that recognize that we're not limited. We're capable of doing things. We just have to apply ourselves and go out and get outside the box.
Thank you for sharing. Now, there were a lot of great players from the Negro Leagues who never had the benefit of playing for the majors. Jackie Robinson and Hank Aaron, however, are two examples of players who were given the chance to play in the majors. Both of these individuals were hugely influential. Do you have a favorite player from whom you were influenced to better game yourself?
Well, I mean, I look at Jackie Robinson, and I like what he did. The respect that he demanded. I can't imagine breaking the color barrier as he did, and to endure the things that he endured. And had he taken a different approach, then maybe no one else would have been allowed to play. But he really had a lot of dignity and honor in how he carried himself in the midst of a lot of hatred and racism and death threats and all of these things. But he carried himself with the utmost respect and honor, and then he had to perform on the field as well. And so he was the right person to open the gates, and he did it in a way that honors us all. And so, I look at myself, and I think that I have to continue to help pave the way for those who are coming along behind me.
I'd say you're doing a pretty good job at it.
Thank you.
Last year, we heard you talk here at school, and since then, we have watched videos of interviews with you, mostly about your coaching for the Texas Rangers. One theme we hear over and over is how positive you are, whether it's playing baseball, when a player or the team isn't doing well, or just in your everyday life. How do you help someone get out of a slump? How do you help someone get past tough times and be positive?
Well, I mean, basically, you have to invest in people first, and I always say I value people over products when it comes to dealing with athletes and then people in general. You have to pour your heart into people, let people know that you care, have some empathy, and try to put yourself in their shoes. But most time, you just give them a positive outlook on something, a kind word. You'd be surprised how much a kind word or a smile or hug can go, and just let people know that you care, that you genuinely understand their situation and what they may be going through, and you want to be some type of help to get them out of that. And so, if you can make someone smile or laugh or just give them some comfort in times of need, you have to have that. I mean, I think we can't live this life. My dad used to say, you can't live in this world by yourself. You got to be willing to help people and invest in people. And so, for me, it's just about valuing people's lives and understand that everyone's important.
How do you go about showing your appreciation for people?
Well, I'm just trying to be intentional. I think a lot of times, when you're speaking with someone, like if I'm speaking to you now, I need to be engaged with you and not being distracted by what's going on in my peripheral, son. So I think being intentional is important. Like be present, and when you're speaking with someone, because sometimes you just have to listen. People need to pour their heart and they want someone to confide in or just an ear to just share and get things off of their mind and off of their heart and things that are burdening them. So I like to just be a listening ear, a sounding board, if you will, and hopefully I have the right response because ultimately everyone is somebody, and I want people to feel special about whatever it is that they're going through or who they are, what they're trying to achieve in life. If you're just trying to motivate somebody to achieve a certain goal, then you have to be real with them, but you have to let them know that if I can do certain things, so can they, and no one's limited.
Thank you for sharing that. I definitely agree with all that, and I'd say that the world as a whole needs to see more of that, and especially in these kinds of days.
In a recent interview on the Deep in the Heart series, you're quoted as saying, "It's not who you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not." This is a profound statement, and one a lot of us could use it here at Caroline High School. What can we do to help us have a more positive mindset so that we can achieve all we're meant to achieve?
It's just about believing in yourself, like, and then and just realizing that you know you're not as limited as you think you are. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, I guess I'm a living example of that. I mean, because coming from this small town and coming from real humble beginnings and not having a lot of resources as a kid growing up and being in a family of 8 kids, and my dad was a hard-working logger, and he just provided for us. But I was able to, persevere in the midst of all that. So I just think that it's just a matter of just applying yourself and getting out there and just letting people know that I'm a talent and I can do something great with my life, and I want people to see that. And I mean, I was able to rise up from that, and my first year in the major leagues was 2006, and I was in Shea Stadium, and I remember looking up in the stadium, about 50,000 New Yorkers yelling and screaming, and I was very humbled, and I think, how did I get here? I thought about my start in my life and where I'm from and how I was raised, and it's a small county, small school, small area, not many resources. Now I find myself at the highest stage with 50,000 New Yorkers screaming, and I'll say, how did I get here? And then I just say, thank you, God, because He just opened doors, I just continue to pound the door and continue to work hard and do my very best, and opportunities just happen for me, and I didn't waste them.
Thank you for sharing all that. Now, if somebody is stuck in the cycle of like not believing in themselves and belittling themselves, how would you help them get out of that, or how would they go about it themselves?
Well, I mean, the statement of it's not who you are that holds you back, is who you think you're not. It's like a lot of times we just don't view ourselves as success. We are very limited in our thinking, and a lot of time that's environment, that's people that we're around, is friends or whoever it may be that we surround ourselves with. People don't always speak positive things into your life. People are quick to tell us about our limitations, and but they're not so fast to give us inspiration to do something that's extraordinary. And I just believe that everyone has a gift and a talent, and that gift and that talent is not minimal. Like, it should be maximized, and the way you maximize that is you get outside of the box and you take that talent that you have and you let it be the very best that it can be. Like, and if you flourish and allow yourself to grow, it's like I said this morning. If you take an oak tree, which we know an oak tree is huge, but if you plant it in a small vase, then it's going to be a small tree because it doesn't have room to expand and grow and reach its full potential. But if I plant it in the earth, in the open space, then it can really reach its full potential. And I think that's what we have to do, is get outside of the box and don't live in that box where it's a small confined area. Get outside and get into the whole world and allow ourselves to see and grow and nurture and reach our full potential.
Wise words. Thank you for sharing them. Now, in that same interview, you also stated in reference to the end of last season, pedal downhill, champions don't coast. This is great advice whether you play sports or not. Have you always had this mindset, or was there someone who helped you think this way, or a turning point in your life that makes you think like this?
My dad used to kind of say things like that all the time. And one thing that I remember is he said, like, I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when you're done, stuff like that. And so, pedal downhill. I was coaching in the minor leagues, and I don't know, that phrase like just hit me one day, and I started talking to my players about it. Because it's easy to sometimes, well, I'm not gonna say easy, but sometimes we work so hard to get to the top of that mountain. Now, I use it as an analogy. Whereas if I'm riding a bike, or well, I'm pushing a rock or whatever I'm doing, I push it up the hill, and it's strenuous. It takes a lot of force, a lot of might, blood, sweat, and tears to get to the top. And when I get to the top, when I get back on the other side, I don't want to coast then, because it's easy to take my foot off the gas then and just coast and allow whatever to happen. So I feel that the real champions are the ones that push it even down the hill, and you pedal downhill. And so you don't ever let up and don't ever give up. Keep fighting even to the end. Even when it's easy, I mean, because yeah, it's not much resistance going downhill, but you still have to keep pedaling.
If someone's like they've done everything they can, they're right at the top, and they just don't have like that will to keep pedaling down, how would they go about like trying to find that will?
You'd be surprised, like, what we're made of when we really challenge ourselves. We're beautifully and wonderfully made. I mean, we can do way more than we think we can. I know physically, I used to challenge myself a lot of times. Like when I feel like I'm at my wits' end, I can't run any longer. I'm about to puke, but I just keep going. And you find that sometimes you can go beyond your normal uh, thoughts and your normal limitations, and you just have to push yourself. You have to keep going, and it starts with your mind. You have to have a mindset that I'm going to continue on, and it's like the first thing you have to do is want to, and that's anything in life. If you want to, you really have a desire to do something, then there should be no stopping you.
Thank you.
Very wise words. You are living history and a true source of pride for us here at Caroline. You're immortalized on our wall, which, of course, is a true honor. Many people our age aren't thinking or being about preserving history. What can we do to make a difference in our community so that we can be part of history in this great area?
Well, I mean, be the change that you want to be. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. A lot of things that whatever there's, that we want to be better, or we think should be better, then we need to be proactive in that. And I think there's a way to do things and decent and in order. But something I said this morning: if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And so if you expect things to stay the same, then continue to do things the same. So if you want change, then we have to be willing to change as well. And change is not always comfortable, but we have to be willing to be the change that we want to see.
Let me backpedal I mentioned you are on our wall. How's that like? How do you think of that?
How do you feel?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of modest, so you know, I don't like to pump myself up or put myself, but I'm honored. It's an honor. I met the young lady who did the drawing or the painting, and it was unbelievable, that she did that, and I'm honored that I was even thought of to be placed in a place of that nature and where I can be viewed. But I'm very honored by it, and I'm very humbled by it. So I'm just thankful and grateful.
Hmm.
And we're
Thank you.
and we're honored to have you on our wall.
Mm-hmm. Jackie Robinson was once quoted as saying, "Life is not a spectator sport. If you're going to spend your whole life in the grandstand just watching what goes on, in my opinion, you're wasting your life. Your life is not a spectator sport, and you always encouraging others to get out of the grandstand. If you had to leave a final saying for us to remember, what would it be?"
See, that to me it relates to the "why not you" mindset. Like why not me? And we all have a responsibility to make a difference, to influence change, to motivate, to educate. Washington says, "On each one, teach one." We all have a responsibility in society, to humanity, to try to bring it up, to lift it up, to take it to the next level. Um, if we don't and we're stagnant in our actions, then things will always remain the same and there will be no growth. And so I think each individual should maintain a growth mindset, and we should always be proactive in our thoughts and in our actions, and have good conversations. If we don't like something, we don't have to be angry about it. Let's have the right conversation to try and fix it and make it better. And so we know that there are many issues, and you know, Jackie Robinson was a political advocate as well. And so he was advocating for equal rights and things of that nature as well. And so he was on two fronts. In professional sports and in society, he was very influential. And so I think all of us have a responsibility to promote humanity and make it a better place for all of us to live in. And he was passionate about his purpose, and I think that's we all have to be passionate about our purpose.
I think a lot of that, like that feeling of having a purpose and having a place in society, and like hate, it's very prevalent these days, and there needs to be some way to like manage that or reduce it in some way, because hate is not going to get us anywhere. It's only going to divide us. It's only going to, it's going to keep us separate, and the only way to fix that is by, even if you don't agree with someone, like coming to an understanding with someone, not necessarily agreeing with what they said, but understanding where they come from, why they think like that, and not yelling and screaming at somebody who you disagree with. That's very lacking these days. But I really hope that one day we'll be able to have like discussions like this one here without having to go out and try to change people's opinions or teach them like by force.
Yeah. Well, the Bible speaks of three gifts: faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. And so we just need to have more love in our hearts and more compassion toward each other. And so, I mean, it's love. It's all there is to it. I mean, love conquers all.
100%.
Very strong closing words. We know we have taken up some of your valuable time today, so we'll wrap things up. Thank you, Mr. Beasley, for your time and insight on Cavalier Connections today, and thank you for your inspiring words and generosity of time that you can afford us and our community. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us today.
You have been listening to Cavalier Connections, a production of the Cavalier Nation News, produced by Mass Media and Innovation at the Caroline High School.
I'm Mara, signing off for today.
And I'm Aiden, and we'll make more connections next time.